What is going on, guys? Today we're going to be looking at the best meta defenders in the icon category, and to start things off we are looking at prime Roberto Carlos. In terms of left backs, we don't really have too many options, to be fair. We start off normally with a base Roberto Carlos, and to be honest, he's normally the only viable option. Roberto Carlos mainly for the free kicks. If anything, that has always been a huge trait for him. He's only a 3-star, 2-star, which is always hard to compare when you got someone like a Ferland Mendy, when you eventually get an upgraded Theo, an upgraded Cancelo, but Roberto Carlos's in-game is always fantastic. Left foot with a high, he has normally got some traits, but he's only got power free kick and long throw-in on this one, and in terms of pace, looking pretty good. We are looking more for that defending and physical as much as we can, and at this point in the game, I feel like the composure is a little bit lackluster. We did get a World Cup version as well, which is always nice, and to be honest, I think could be slightly better if we have a look at the skill moves, because there's so many different World Cups. I believe, yeah, we got a 3-star with a World Cup, so in general you could argue that that would be better, but I do think at this point in the game, you're clutching at straws with him with what left backs we've already got this year. Sometimes we don't get the full backs already, we kind of wait till the later stages of the game, but most definitely this year we've got a very nice selection already. If we're looking at the next one, I would say Ashley Cole has definitely had a nice glow up with this one. Base, mid, prime, pretty useless in terms of in-game, and I'm not saying this is the next greatest left back you can go for, but most definitely he's had a nice upgrade on everything. Great composure, pace is good, defending solid, even a bit more on the physical side as well. We have got outside of the foot shot if you really wanted to with this card, but I do think if you've got him, there's definitely no qualms here for him. He is a solid left back, but I think in terms of icons, the left back position is not quite fulfilled just yet. Maybe we get another variation of left backs in probably a Roberto Carlos, I'd say would be next one. If we got another one of him, that would be sensational. Are you tired of using players like this? I would much rather have teams more like this. Then I recommend going over to skycoach.gg for all of your coaching and coins needs. They are cheap, fast and reliable, but at the checkout make sure you are using code JT11 for a discount on your orders. Back to the video. Now on to the right backs. We're going to start off with Zambrotta, and honestly, what a fantastic card. From start to finish, his base is absolutely unbelievable, and then his prime is even better. He does have a World Cup version as well, which just adds another layer to Zambrotta, and he is a 4-star, 5-star in every version. I would say the mid normally comes in a little bit lower than all other versions, just naturally how his stats kind of line up, but he can be a right back and a left back in this game, which is always nice if you wanted to put him in a different position. If you've got him untradeable, but you've already got, say, Team of the Year Hakimi, but you want to put him at left back. He has got great pace, defending's good, physical's good. It's a solid card all round. Honestly, he is just one of them cards that's very dependable and is very consistent in the gameplay. In terms of right backs, we're looking at some nice ones, as then we move over to Carfu. We did again get a World Cup version of this card, and he was token based. We do prefer obviously the prime, but the World Cup one is impossible to get if you didn't get the tokens anyway. So if you didn't go for Vieira or you went for the packs instead, then obviously prime, mid or base is what you're looking at for Carfu. In terms of the stats, we're looking pretty all-round solid, as we normally do with a card like this, and to be honest, normally he does go up against Carlos Alberto. Both of them with incredible defending stats. Pace is very similar. Obviously, Carfu has a bit more on that composure, which is always perfect, but the big thing we've got this year is obviously Carlos Alberto can be a centre-back, which just adds another layer. Normally we're having to fight over which one do we put a right back, but this year we can actually have both of them in if we put Carlos Alberto in that centre-back role. In terms of the stats between them though, I would suggest there's a potential that Carfu could play centre-back as well if you wanted to swap them in-game, and obviously Carlos Alberto can obviously swap out to a right-back as well. Outside of the foot and early and Flair, early crosser and Flair in fact, and just Flair on Carlos Alberto as well. Both of them sensational Brazilian icons, and to be honest, very end game in terms of what you'll get from them. And then the final one I believe we have got is Zanetti Team of the Year. He is a 3-star, 4-star, and to be honest, he's just a slight mention in this because I definitely prefer him more as a midfielder than I do as a right back. He's coming in at 5'10", a little bit taller than a few of the others, but again, not necessarily an astonishing height that he shouldn't be right back. I just think all of his talents definitely lie in a CDM role, like we normally see with his moments. We see with the past few years, he's always had that CDM, very much like Desai and obviously Lahm. So I do think for me, he is more of a centre mid, but the Team of the Year, another great addition. If you wanted him right back, he still could play it. I just think you're missing out on that centre mid role. And if you was a keen eye, you'd see that Rio Ferdinand is the first centre back. And to be honest, again, very much like Zanetti, he's here for more of a little snippet, because what I kind of don't get with Rio, every year consistently, normally his base is like in the teams. Everybody's got a Rio. Then when we get to the prime, we do see him still scattered around. Maybe we do see more Team of the Years. We see some top end centre backs. But this year, I felt like he's just absolutely nowhere. And it's very weird that Eusebio, Maldini, R9, all of them have been consistent in top level icons for literally the past 5 to 6 years. Rio, for the past 3 or 4, definitely has been a top centre-back icon, and normally you'd see him every now and then. When I say I've not seen a Rio Ferdinand at all this game, that just says a lot, to be honest. I know normally we do tend to get a Rio as an icon pick or an icon SBC, which has always led him to obviously being in there because we did have icon swaps, but this year, he just feels like he's nowhere, but he's definitely a mention in the top centre-backs. I feel like he looks like he's still very, very nice indeed. Good pace, obviously with a shadow will go up to 91 I believe, with 88, but then he's already got defended, physical, and a great amount of composure as well. Then we move on to another centre-back who is absolutely elite. That is going to be Prime Desai. 6'1", medium high, he is right-footed and genuinely is incredible. He's an absolute tank going forward. Very much like Zanetti, I do like him as a CDM, but I must admit, in terms of that centre-back role, he just does it so well. He's a fantastic centre-back in that role. And then we've got his French counterpart in World Cup icon Blanc. Again, another cracking one if you wanted to go get him. Very cheap in the World Cup version, I believe. I don't think he's actually too expensive. I could be wrong. He's probably 2.5 mil at this point. 381k on the World Cup version, and then he's 293 on obviously the Prime. The difference between them though, you mainly get 1 extra pace on the World Cup, which we'll absolutely take. You do lose 1 defending, which again, if I'm going for the shadow anyway, I'd rather take the pace. He has got obviously the stats going forward, but the big thing with Blanc for me, very much kind of like a lot of these kind of cheaper players, in game is outstanding. In terms of stats, we're pretty standard. We've seen Desai with the same. We've seen Rio Ferdinand with the same. More than likely, we could have a look at some gold centre-backs and some other kind of upgraded ones, and they'd have better stats throughout. But in-game, Blanc is sensational. He's definitely one to take my word for. Composure's at a good level, but definitely could do with that upgrade, but is still a wonderful centre-back if you wanted. And then we go on to a Team of the Year Nesta. This card is outstanding, genuinely incredible. I love what they've done with these World Cup / Team of the Years, especially a handful. They are just mesmerizing. Compared to what Nesta's like the past 5 years, base, mid, prime, moments, whatever version you had, unusable from the get-go. You get him at the start of the game, he's still not going to do anything. With obviously some of the icons, you could probably question if you got it in the first week, maybe in the first month, you'd put him in there just because he's an icon and he might be able to do something. Nesta's definitely not going to do that from day one. You could go and get a gold Arejo, you could get a gold Varane, and he would do way more than what this base, mid or prime Nesta could actually do. And that's pretty much down to pace, if anything. And that's what the Team of the Year icon has kind of produced, is just an abundance of pace, like we see with Toni Kroos getting the upgrade, when we see Muller getting an upgrade. When they've added 15 to 20 pace, it tends to just change the card altogether. And I think that's what they've done with this one. And I would say they've definitely done a better one, which we'll get onto in a minute. But this one is still absolutely extraordinary. And I think Bobby Moore. Bobby Moore is next, and this card took me by surprise. Honestly, he was just a card that I saw so much on the build-up after World Cup, and honestly, I didn't know why. I looked at him and I thought, you know what, yeah, he's got 80 pace, that's fantastic, but the balance, everything upgraded was just perfect for him. He's quick on the ball, he's got a great pass, he can get rid of it very quickly, he has got a good amount of acceleration. With a shadow, you're looking at 88 pace as well. Again, another phenomenal card. They've turned from an absolute fodder to an actual player. But the big thing for me with Bobby Moore is the fact that he's coming in now, I believe, or at least he was a couple of weeks ago, at 190,000 coins. That is a very cheap endgame centre-back that you can get for very, very little coins. I think that is a great deal. If you're looking at all of these top centre-backs, you're looking 300 to 1 mil to maybe even 1.5 mil. Bobby Moore, 200k. He'll last you definitely until Team of the Season. And then we move on to Team of the Year, Vidic. And again, very much like Nesta and Bobby Moore, he has been a godsend. Definitely rivaling up in that top 3, top 4 spot for the best centre-backs on the game. He is just wonderful. And I was thinking, when they brought him out, it just wasn't it. We saw him and he was kind of okay, but in terms of Vidic's stature, I don't think they did him very well. The base mid prime is okay at best. I feel like the base is one of them cards, if you got at the start, you could put him in and be okay with him. The prime, again, maybe if you just really like Vidic, you could put him in on day dot, but there'll be cards out there that's way cheaper, that will get you the results that you just can get for so little coins, so you're not going to buy somebody like that. Now they've upgraded him, this card is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. If we look at all of these cards together, all 3 of them have been all fodder cards for the last couple of years, and now I'd say they are definitely in the limelight of some of the cards that you definitely want to get in the game. Vidic, obviously, with incredible defending, physical, solid, has got a great amount of pace now as well, which with a shadow, you're looking at 90 plus, which is always perfect, and obviously that big composure boost. But the best centre-back in Icon history is going to be Maldini. He is, I don't even need to talk about the stats because the card is just a joke. Everybody's got his base version because of that SBC, and honestly, any version of him is fantastic. The base will eventually become obsolete, and normally the mid, the prime, maybe if we get a campaign of him, will be the kind of talk of the town, but in general, this card at this moment in time is, for me, the best centre-back on the game. He's phenomenal, he costs a lot, I think he costs about 1 million coins actually. I want to say he's actually really cheap in comparison to other years, 1.6 mil, so I feel like he's gone up a little bit since then. So his lowest price ever was 1.1, which I'd probably take, to be honest. 1.1, even though it's very expensive, you are getting a centre-back that would last you till the very, very end. No matter how much he loses, he would be phenomenal. And that's going to be the best meta icon defenders in the game. Let me know down below if you've got any fan favourites as well, and any that you'd like to add into FIFA in the coming years. But from that, make sure you like and subscribe.